Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland, and for goodness sakes, whatever you do, batten down the hatches, leash up your Hackney Diamond dogs, because the Rolling Stones are releasing a brand new album. All right, folks, we are mere weeks away from a brand new Rolling Stones album, and it has been 18 long years since we've gotten one. Now, I know some of you may be counting their covers album. I don't. To me, I want to hear this band's original music, the stuff that Jagger and Richards writes. And it has been, like I said, 18 years since the Rolling Stones released A Bigger Bang. Now, A Bigger Bang was a fine album. It's not one of their best as far as I'm concerned, but it was well worth spending the money to buy it. I think that Bridges to Babylon was their last truly great album, so I'm really excited about what the Rolling Stones all have in mind. Now, before we get into this album and the pre-release track Angry, I did want to bring up one thing. I'm a little disappointed that Living in a Ghost Town is not listed on the track list for this album. Now, we were promised all along that that was attached to an upcoming album, and I thought for sure we'd be getting that at least as a bonus track. Now, the Rolling Stones have said there is a theme to this album, and it is perfectly demonstrated on the very first track, Angry. And I think, personally, Living in a Ghost Town, there is an anger to that song. But you know, I think what's happening here is the Stones, as many bands these days, are trying to distance themselves from that time of pandemic. But for whatever reason, Living in a Ghost Town, sadly, is not on this new album. Now, one thing is cool about this album, 2 of the tracks will have 4 of the 5 original Rolling Stones. Here we see Bill Wyman is back in the fold for both of these tracks, and Charlie Watts laid down the drums prior to his death. And of course, those 2 tracks, for you eagle-eared out there, are Live by the Sword and Mess It Up. Oh, I love the title, Mess It Up. Doesn't that sound so very Stonesy? Now, even the album cover is pretty amazing here. You see a dagger being plunged in through a heart-shaped diamond that's being held by another hand. The hand that's holding the diamond is female. The hand plunging the dagger is male. So lots of yin and yang imagery, and I haven't even had a chance to really take a look at the shapes of the shattered glass. You see, that's what Hackney Diamond implicates. As an example, Mick said that the phrase comes from a windscreen in the Hackney district of London being shattered, maybe by a rock or whatever. For us here in America, that's a windshield, and he says that all of the splatter would be considered Hackney diamonds. In other words, not quite what they appear to be. Now, as far as the opening track, Angry, I love it myself, folks. It's got that twin guitar sound, one guitar primarily on the left spectrum of the sound stage, and the other one on the right spectrum. And the style of this song and approach is very, very Rolling Stones. But this isn't just another Jagger Richards classic. No, there's a third songwriter, and he's actually the co-writer on the next 2 tracks on the album that we haven't heard. And of course, I'm talking about Andrew Watt. Now, Andrew Watt has a name all unto himself. He was absolutely vital to Ozzy Osbourne's latest album, and I have a video on that, folks. You know I love that album. I'll pin it up here in case you want to see that. But this guy actually knows what he's doing. And if Angry is any indication of the next 2 tracks, I'm excited. Now, getting back to the Stones kind of distancing themselves from prior recordings, they started recording proper on this album in December of 2022. This channel had already made a couple of videos questioning when we were going to hear this new album that they had been, working on in and out for over a decade. And according to Richard, starting in December of 2022, they recorded enough material for 2 albums. Now, to me, that means if this album does well enough, we'll get another one within 1.5 to 2 years after. And that would be a nice cap to their career. But what about all these missing recordings? You know, the ones that were supposed to be attached to Living in a Ghost Town. To me, it's starting to sound like they had only 1 or 2, maybe 3 tracks that they just, recorded over that long period of time and, well, basically lied through their teeth about actually recording an album, even intermittently, as a real project. But if there are tracks out there, and I kind of wonder if they have Charlie Watts on this album, if those 2 tracks weren't at least started during those sessions. In other words, have we heard all from those mysterious sessions that evidently went from the early 2000s right up until today? But either way, with the former release, Living in a Ghost Town, and now the new pre-release, Angry, this is good news for us, folks, because both of these tracks are solid, heavy hitters from the Rolling Stones. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up. I do appreciate it, folks. That helps expand the channel to a larger base, always. And if you're one of my viewers who have not yet subscribed to the channel, that's easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button, then tap that top bell icon, and you are there. All right. I'm Michael Noland. I want to hear from all of you because you know what? Together, you and I, we are the tribe. And I'll see you in my next video.